I've been using the Adjudicator for most of the past 2 weeks, pushing it to its absolute limit. I've used it in a ton of high difficulty missions against bugs and bots, both in full groups and solo, and I've really just been trying really hard to like it. So do I now like it? Did I make any progress towards that end, or do I still think it's a piece of shit? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. We'll start with the good, then the bad, and then my conclusion, which is the Adjudicator. Is it good or does it suck? Okay, so we're going to start with the good, the things that surprised me about the Adjudicator and the things that I think make it valuable. The first thing I want to say about this weapon is that it's actually quite unique. If you're looking for a fast-firing, medium armor-penetrating weapon, you really don't have any other options other than the Liberator Penetrator, which, I'm just gonna leave this here. When most people want medium armor penetration, they go for the Dominator or the Scorcher. And yes, I know the Scorcher doesn't technically do medium armor pen, but everyone knows it roasts all medium armored enemies. And whilst I can't say anything bad against the Scorcher, because let's be honest, this thing destroys basically everything in the game, with the only real limitation being its fairly small magazine. The Dominator, on the other hand, yeah, it's incredible for large, slow-moving, medium-armored targets. However, because of its terrible handling, trying to take out hunters with this thing can be a real challenge. And because of its low ammo count, it really feels like a waste of ammo to use it for the smallest targets. Which means, and I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but whenever I take the Dominator, particularly when I'm playing against bugs, I always feel compelled to take a fast-firing stratagem weapon like the Stalwart to help out with all those smaller targets. Which means I can't take any other stratagem weapon, like the Quasar or autocannon. And so I'm quite limited in my options. I essentially have to build my loadout around the Dominator. Whereas with the Adjudicator, there's no limitations on my loadout at all. I can take out medium armored units with no issues, and I can still handle all of those smaller, faster moving targets as well, usually in just 1 or 2 bullets. So you could say that the Adjudicator is a bit of a jack-of-all-trades kind of weapon. It does a little bit of everything. The way it achieves this is by having double the magazine capacity and fire rate of both the Scorcher and the Dominator, as well as having much better handling than the Dominator. This improved handling means that it doesn't suffer from the same problem of tracking fast-moving targets. In fact, as you can see, it really doesn't struggle one bit. On top of that, the Adjudicator outperforms both weapons at long range, being equipped with an incredibly useful 25, 50 and 100 meter scope, which makes it an extremely capable sniper rifle. As I said, jack of all trades. It handles small, fast-moving targets, it handles medium armored targets, and it handles targets at short, medium, and long range. It just kind of does everything. Having said all that, it's not all good news. Let's talk about the downsides. So yes, the Adjudicator has a decent ammo pool of 30 rounds and a relatively high fire rate of 550. However, it also has extremely high recoil, which means that if you're going to be firing this thing on full auto, not only will you miss most of your shots, you'll also blow through those 30 rounds extremely quickly. And that means that the Adjudicator is really best used either in semi-auto or in full auto by tap firing small bursts of 1 to 2 rounds. You can of course somewhat offset this by making sure that you're prone or at the very least crouching when you're firing on full auto, and if possible running an armor that helps you with the recoil. The other big problem with the Adjudicator is it doesn't do a huge amount of damage, coming in at only 80 damage per round, which, whilst powerful for an assault rifle, is absolutely pitiful when compared to most other weapons in the game. And sure, the Adjudicator has a much higher fire rate than most of those, but as I said, because of the insane recoil, you can barely even use the thing at max fire rate, so what good is it? And this means that if you come up against a unit with a large health pool, like a Bile Spewer, a Strider, or a Berserker, you will really struggle to take them down. And this is saying nothing of how long it takes to kill a Charger. This is ridiculous. Alright, now for the main reason anyone clicked on this video. Is it good or does it suck? Well, in my opinion, it kind of... it kind of sucks. It's not terrible. I really love having the flexibility in my loadout. The Adjudicator has me covered with small targets, medium armor targets, long range sniping. It can kind of do everything, but it doesn't really do anything really well. The time to kill on large units like Bile Spewers makes it pretty much unusable. You have to be way too accurate and put every single round in the head to get the time to kill down to being viable, and the insane recoil doesn't make your life easy when you're trying to do that. Basically, when I used the Adjudicator, I found myself wanting the Scorcher so often. The ridiculous ease at which the Scorcher handles pretty much every unit in the game. Striders, I mean, they might as well not exist with the Scorcher. Whereas the Adjudicator struggles hard with them. And whilst the Adjudicator can handle small targets like swarms of scavengers, it's really not an ideal choice. For those, I'd much rather a Sickle or Breaker Incendiary or something. So yeah, I wouldn't really recommend this weapon. It is cool, it's fun to use, honestly. I love the feeling of it. I love that you have to kind of wrangle it to get it to perform the way you want it to. But in its current state, it's not a great weapon. I think if it had a damage buff to, say, about 100, maybe 120, it would be much more viable. Just because it would mean that scavengers would always go down in a single shot rather than sometimes taking two, and the time to kill on larger targets would be a little bit more bearable. So yeah, in conclusion, I'd give it about a 4.5 on the suck to good scale. It kind of sucks, but not too badly. And that's it, guys. That's my video about the Adjudicator. I really hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it was useful in helping you to decide whether or not to try out this weapon, maybe whether or not to buy the War Bond. If it was useful, hit the like button and let me know if you want to see more of this series down below. And if it wasn't useful, hit the dislike button and tell me why the video sucked. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.